Hey everybody, it's Paul, and this is my good friend Steve joining me here today. Now, I know that Shannon recently uploaded a video where she talked about a project that Steve and I have been working on for a while, and we finally are allowed to sit within 6 feet of each other.
Here we are, that's right.
So we're giving this a try. This is something we've been talking about for about a year now.
Yeah, sure.
Give or take. So Steve is a good friend of mine. Known him for a couple of years now. He is a pastor at Richland Creek Community Church, a professor at Southeastern Baptist Theological Seminary.
That's it.
Mouthful. Ford.
You got it.
As well, an all-around great guy. So he is uniquely qualified to talk with me today about the top 5 movie sequels.
Yes, absolutely.
So that's kind of what we're going to be doing here. We're talking about making another YouTube channel. We're just giving it a try here for now. We don't have a title, we don't have a channel name or anything. We just kind of want to see how this goes. But Steve has his list of top 5 movie sequels. I've got mine. We have not talked this through.
We have not.
We don't know what it's going to be. So this is going to be a lot of fun. Now, in the comments below, if you think we got something wrong, make sure to let us know. Also, if you have any ideas for future lists for us, that would be awesome. All right, you just want to dive right in, or?
Sounds good to me. Yep, let's talk movies.
All right, sounds good. Okay, so movie sequels. I'm just defining that as, for me, a movie that came after the first one. It may not necessarily be the second in a series, but I went the route of it had to be like a true sequel. It couldn't have been something that was planned.
Right.
So for me, at least, the Lord of the Rings trilogy. Love all 3 of them.
Right.
But I didn't want to pick The Two Towers or Return of the King because, the director and everybody went into it knowing that there were going to be multiple movies.
It was one movie in 3 parts.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And, Empire Strikes Back, which is probably my favorite movie of all time, does not meet that definition, but I decided not to include it on my list.
Right.
But it definitely deserves to be on there.
Yes, no doubt.
So, all right, do you want to go first, or do you want me to?
I can, yeah. Okay. Yeah, I go first. So we'll go like in reverse order. So we'll go my 5th favorite of these. And I'm no movie critic, of course, but Paul and I have seen a lot of movies together.
Yes.
Over the last couple of years. And,
that's been a lot of fun.
If movie theaters ever open again, we'll see some more, I'm sure. We like movies. A lot of my movies, my favorite, come from like when I was younger. And I think part of the reason why is because so many new movie sequels, for me at least, they feel like that they're just drawing on the same characters instead of either creating a new character arc for that character or carrying the story forward in any way. And so that I kind of thought about some of these as there are probably some good movies that are sequels that are more recent. Maybe some of them we'll get to, but when I think about, for me at least, what makes a really good movie sequel is one of 2 things. Either it takes the same characters and it gives them a new character arc. But that's the reason why the sequel is good then, is because the characters were so good in that first movie, so you're able to carry it over. Or because it moves that story forward, like The Empire Strikes Back, which certainly would be kind of number 1 on just about anybody's list. But okay, so we'll go number 5. We'll go. This is my top. That will count them down. My top 5. So number 5 is Star Trek II: The Wrath of Khan.
Oh, that's a great one.
Yeah, love that one, and not just the scene where the little bug goes in the ear, and it's great as that scene is.
Still haunts my dreams.
Without a doubt. For me, a great movie because it actually takes the Star Trek characters and gets more out of them than even the original did.
I agree. I also, I feel like in Star Trek II, there was more conflict. It was more Star Wars-esque, if you will. Right. Which, it's funny how there's Star Wars and Star Trek people. I'm definitely a Star Wars camp.
No doubt.
But the even number Star Treks are all pretty good.
Yeah, and I'm not a real big Star Trek person. The other Star Trek movies I didn't so much like. Even the later TV shows, I didn't follow them. I wasn't connected to them in any way. But I really felt like that Wrath of Khan captured, for me, what makes a good sequel. And even though it on its own stands alone as a very good movie, even better than the original.
Yeah.
It certainly fits in this what is a sequel for me, and you know, my number 5.
All right, that's a good one. My number 5 was actually a choice. I wanted to have an animated sequel on my list, and so I went with Shrek 2 as my number 5. Came out in 2004. Actually, I have very fond memories of taking my children as little kids to see that, and my mom was visiting at that time, so we all went and saw that together, and just the entire family laughed the whole way through it. I'm sorry, that's a whole different memory. We went and saw the original Shrek
and laughed all the way through.
Mom wasn't in town for Shrek 2. Different memory. Anyway.
Well, it makes the sequel, it shows how good the sequel is, that you merged it together with the original. Yeah,
so the reason I went with Shrek over some of the other animated movies that are out there is because I love the Shrek franchise. I love how it takes the fairy tales and kind of twists them a little bit. And I remember the Rocky and Bullwinkle show. The twisted fairy tales.
Right.
The Shrek franchise just was a lot more irreverent about things, which I kind of dig. I like that.
Without doubt.
So that's my number 5.
Yeah. Well, and the thing I like about Shrek 2 in particular is the way that it draws out this sense of adventure and excitement, but at the same time viewing it from this irreverent kind of perspective, where it's not just this fantasy world that's out there. It is certainly a fantasy world, but one that's filled with humor and looking at things from a different perspective.
And maybe not so idyllic.
Absolutely, that's exactly right. All right, so number 4 for me.
Number 4,
animated as well.
Okay.
And I really thought about Shrek 2 because Shrek 2 is I like the Shrek franchise as well. All the time. In fact, when we talk about having waffles, we go back to that. When Donkey says, in the morning there are waffles in the original. But anyway, it's we love that franchise, and we love waffles. I love waffles as well. But for me, it's Toy Story 2.
Okay.
For some of the same reasons, in the sense that there's some realism to the story. And I feel like that each of the Toy Story movies are masterpieces at storytelling. I mean, they really are a master class in storytelling. And so Toy Story 2 really stood out to me as developing characters even more. They took the same characters, developed them more, and then added a new dynamic. And so that's the reason I picked that as number 4.
All right, Toy Story 2 was the other movie I agonized over going with, and my oldest son Drew really wanted me to pick Toy Story 2. He was actually surprised that Shrek 2 made it, as opposed to Toy Story, because he loves Toy Story, and so do I. 2 was great because I loved the addition of Kelsey Grammer to the voice talent cast. And as a toy collector myself, I kind of felt for Al. He collected all those cool toys and they ran away.
They left.
So I get it.
That's right. That's the story of my life.
Yeah, Toy Story 2 is a great one. So, my number 4 is, so this is actually a funny one. I actually had to change my number 4. I wanted to do a superhero movie. Originally, I went with Superman 2.
Oh, yeah.
Which I love, but it didn't meet my criteria because Superman, the original Richard Donner Superman, and Superman 2 were filmed at the same time.
Wow.
I didn't know that at first. I thought I remembered that, and I looked it up. And so Superman 2 is going to be an honorable mention for me, but my number 4 is actually Spider-Man 2.
Oh, yeah.
The Tobey Maguire Spider-Man came out. Nobody knew what a smash hit it was going to be because they've tried to do Spider-Man movies in the past, and they flopped miserably.
Right.
Spider-Man, when it came out, broke all box office records, was just incredible. But Spider-Man 2 really kind of upped it a notch. I love the addition of Dr. Octopus to that franchise. Spider-Man 2 just did everything that Spider-Man 1 did so well, and just kind of turned the volume up a lot.
Yeah, no doubt. And Spider-Man he's one of my favorite characters in all of the superhero world, even from when I was a kid. It was Spider-Man I really wanted to be and wanted to be like, and wish I could have shot webs everywhere. And always my mom has pictures of me, and I've got my hands ready to go as though I'm shooting out webs. And at high school graduation, that's probably not the best way to get your picture taken.
Well, that's okay. I mean, because then once you got into the rock music, you're already right there.
Then you're ready to roll. That's exactly.
Web shooters are throwing.
Yes. But Spider-Man 2. It's a great and Superman 2 as well. I didn't realize that wasn't. They were shot at the same time. Certainly would have been in the top 10 for me without realizing that. So, all right, number 3.
Yep, number 3.
Okay, number 3, Karate Kid 2.
Oh,
Karate
I
Kid
didn't
2.
even think of Karate Kid. Boy, Karate Kid was such a great franchise.
Without a doubt. And here's the thing about Karate Kid 2 that for me stood out. So, Karate Kid 2 is entirely unbelievable. There's virtually nothing about it that is believable. At least with Karate Kid 1, maybe that happens. But Karate Kid 2, there's nothing believable about going to Okinawa and fighting and that sort of thing. But a couple of things stood out. One, Peter Cetera. Any soundtrack with Peter Cetera, it's going to be a great movie.
Yep.
And so there's that part of it. There is the scene, this climactic scene where the drums are beating, and it's there's the love story that's associated with it.
Yes.
So what stood out for me about Karate Kid 2 is the fact of the love story that I think they drew on even more than in the original, certainly more than in the original Karate Kid. And so it added a new dynamic. So when I think of really good sequels being taking these characters and put them in a new arc, I think that the character arc and the context and the situation that Daniel was in the second one was different than the first one. Same character in this different world, different movie world, story world, and they did a great job with it. So Karate Kid 2 was 3 for me.
I can't believe I forgot about the Karate. The Karate Kid was such a huge part of my life.
That's right.
In the 80s. I just forgot all about it. Yeah. All right, my number 3 is Aliens.
Oh, yes.
All right, the follow-up to the iconic sci-fi, horror, suspense, however you want to classify the original Alien, was Aliens, which introduced the idea of Space Marines.
Yes.
Which, funny enough, we now actually talk about.
We do. That's right. The Space Force. Yeah.
So,
we're a few years behind.
We are. So just hopefully they stay away from LV-246 or 426. Anyway, Aliens was I think I wore out a VHS tape of that. That was just so cool. The setup for it was great because now there's not just one alien on a ship. There's a whole bunch of aliens on a planet, and so it just makes it made the set. It made I guess the playground is just a lot bigger for these characters to explore. And then of course it had a great climactic scene where Ripley jumps in the loader to fight the alien queen.
Well, and when I think about that story, and it's a great story. It didn't make my list. I didn't even think about that as I was working through it. But one of the things that really stands out about that movie is that there is this build to a climax. That there is intensity along the way, but it's almost more suspenseful than the first Alien for me. And I love suspense. This idea. I know Hitchcock always talked about that. There's suspense if you're worried if something's going to happen to someone, but the way to really build suspense is you put people in a room and instead of blowing them up, you just put a suitcase with a bomb under the table, and that way people know and they're drawn into it and they're thinking, is it going to blow up? Is it not going to blow up? And I kind of feel that same sense of suspense with Aliens. Great movie.
It really was. And it's sad to me because I feel like Aliens was kind of the high watermark of that franchise. I really just don't feel like they were able to capture the magic of the first two with any of the subsequent things. And I really do. I love that franchise. I like that they've introduced the Predators into it, but Aliens to me is the top of that franchise.
Of the whole, I think you're exactly right.
Yeah, and there's just some great dialogue.
Yeah.
All right, onward.
Number 2, right?
Yeah.
So we're at number 2. So my number 2 favorite sequel is Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom.
Oh, okay. You went with number 2 on that.
I went with number 2 on that. Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom, number 2.
Yes.
So, and I think, again, what I love the character. right? So Indiana Jones is a phenomenal character.
Oh, yeah.
And you can put him into any context, and you can still build a story around him. And I love movies that are character-based movies. The plot doesn't matter with the Indiana Jones franchise.
Right.
And Temple of Doom stands out for me as being this unique setting and context where you find him. Of course, you have the love story that goes along with that, of course. But just simply the way that the pursuit of the goal that Indiana Jones has in this sequel makes it where it's exciting from the beginning, and his character continues to develop. You would think after the original that you couldn't develop his character anymore. It was a great movie. But in Temple of Doom, his character develops and evolves even more, and a great character movie for me.
Yeah, Temple of Doom was definitely good. And fun fact, that's actually what that, along with Poltergeist, created the PG-13 rating.
Oh yeah.
How
about that? I didn't know that.
It used to be that was a PG movie, and it's wild if you go back and you watch that and then kind of plug in today's standards. It's funny how that kind of stuff works. I love any Indiana Jones movie, even Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, just because again I love the character. Right. For me, if I had to pick an Indiana Jones sequel, I would have gone with Last Crusade, that almost made the list. Mm-hmm. I really hope that they do resurrect the Indiana Jones character and continue making movies with that character. I know that we're going to have to get a new actor to play Indy. Mm-hmm. And a working idea for a script could be a treasure that he gets to keep. Yeah, the poor guy has gone through so much, and he has yet to be able to keep one of these cool things. The Ark is in the warehouse. The Holy Grail. Holy Grail got buried in the city of Petra. He had to give back the magical rocks at the end of Temple of Doom. Crystal Skull. Anyway, okay. All right. So that was number 2 for you. Number 2 for me was Terminator 2: Judgment Day.
Oh yes. Oh goodness.
So
great movie.
Yeah, great movie. Terminator is another just great story to me. It's funny, I have this running joke that I can turn anything into a romantic movie or a chick flick, as it's been called. And
Poor Shannon.
I have often been called, it's also tongue-in-cheek. Like, I don't actually believe these things, but of course the fun is to present it like I do believe it. And Terminator and The Matrix both have long been the movies that guys want to see that are the ultimate chick flick. Yeah. Because Terminator is, Reese, the hero of Terminator, he travels back through time. For Sarah.
That's right. I mean, come on.
Forget the fact that there are robots and explosions and killings and all the other stuff. That's the story.
That's just the trappings around it. That's the shading over in the corner.
Exactly. And I love Terminator. Terminator 2 really, I feel like, told the story. Number one, it advanced the story. It reintroduced Arnold Schwarzenegger as the character, but of course he's just a different model or a different production unit of the same model. And he's kind of has this new adventure, and now he's presented as almost like an anti-hero. Which I thought was neat, but they really had the special effects in Terminator 2, I feel like, to tell the story they wanted to do. They did a great job with the effects that they had for the original. Right. But when I watch it now, it's kind of clunky. And I don't have the same feeling of suspense and fear that I had when I was 12 years old watching it, because it's just kind of like
it doesn't keep up with today's standards.
Right. So T2 Judgment Day is my number 2.
Oh, that's a great movie, and certainly would be on anybody's top 10 list without a doubt. So, all right, number one. You ready? So I actually struggled with number 1 because if another movie would have made it onto my top 5 list, it would have been number 1. And it didn't even make the top 5.
Oh, wow.
But in comparison, what was interesting was, in comparison to the other movies, if I had included it in the list, it would have topped them. But there was a reason I didn't include it in the list, even though I really feel like it was it fits the criteria of, I mean, it certainly is, but fit the criteria of a sequel, and it's one of my favorite movies.
Okay.
So I'm going to give that one that didn't make the list first.
Okay. All right.
So the one that didn't make the list, that wasn't number one, was The Dark Knight.
Okay.
Did not make the list, was not number one. But if it had made the list, it would have been number one. And the reason why, or at least ahead of these others, and the reason why it would have been is because it carries this story forward. Mm-hmm. But in a lot of ways, even though it fits the criteria, it is a sequel. I don't think of it like a sequel. I think of it like a standalone movie that's telling its own story. And that was the reason I didn't include it. So that may be overboard, not a place, but that's why I didn't put it on the list. So, all right, so my number one, The Godfather 2.
Okay.
The Godfather 2.
Iconic pick.
Without a doubt. And I wrestled with that because it is inferior to Godfather. Okay. And so far inferior that how can you think of the sequel as being so much better than these other sequels if it's not as good as the original? But the original Godfather is so classic and iconic, it's almost untouchable. And so, since I don't even include it in the same list as other movies, it doesn't even fit in in a movie. It's its own rare thing. I felt like that this would fit, and probably the reason why it's number one, why Godfather 2 is number one, is because it accomplishes both of the things that I started out saying that I like for sequels to do. It both carries forward the characters in these new ways and new character arc for Michael in particular, of course, but also it moves the story forward. It's not just a character story, it also is a plot-driven story as well. And so the fact that it had both of those elements in just top-shelf ways is what made The Godfather 2 number one for me.
Okay. All right, yeah, Godfather is a great pick. And I think I'm just one of those rare guys that I don't get The Godfather. Like, I've seen them because I felt like I had to.
Yeah.
And I like them, but maybe it was just like when I grew up. Yeah. For me, the mob movies for me are Martin Scorsese's movies. Goodfellas, Casino, right. Donnie Brasco, which I don't think is Scorsese, but maybe Departed is pretty good. Mm-hmm. All of those just for me at least they just overshadow The Godfather so much, and I know that's sacrilegious to some people.
We'll still be friends.
Yeah, okay. Well, I appreciate that. So yeah, Godfather 2 definitely would be up there in best sequels. I think I'm gonna have to watch the Godfather movies again, just to see. Maybe I am missing out.
And you really need to watch 1 and 2 together to see. And the reason I say that is because it shows how it moves the story forward. Okay. It would be it'd be worth your 2.5 days it would take to watch.
Okay, all right. My number one was actually your honorable mention. It was The Dark Knight. Reason being is because it's funny. It kind of fit my criteria as a great movie that was. I felt like it was a sequel because it advances the story. Yeah. And when Christopher Nolan started with Batman Begins, the Batman franchise had been dormant in the movies for a while, as well as Christopher Nolan had just done 2 projects. One was Memento, which was basically an indie film, and I cannot remember the other one, but he was not a director of note at the time. Right. And now, of course, he is money in the bank.
Everything. Exactly.
So yeah, he did a phenomenal job with the Batman franchise, and I would love to see him get back involved with it and kind of get the DC universe back on track. Right. But until then, The Dark Knight is gonna be my number one pick. Mm-hmm. I feel like everything about Batman Begins was just kind of taken up a notch in The Dark Knight. Heath Ledger, of course, kind of reinvented the Joker.
That's right.
Which is neat because the Joker is a character that every time we see him on screen, he's reinvented.
He's different every time.
And it's funny, depending on what mood I'm in, I like different Jokers. Yeah. Because, of course, we had Jack Nicholson. Of course. Was a great Joker. We can go back to the 60s.
Yeah, that's right, even the Adam West.
with I can't remember, Caesar. I can't remember his name. But anyway, so The Dark Knight is going to be my number one. Yeah. All right. How about you guys? What did we leave off the list, or what did we have out of order? What would you have picked differently? Let us know. All right, Steve, I want to thank you for joining us. This was a lot of fun.
Wow, this is great.
Yeah.
This is wonderful. So thank you for having me. And thank you for having me.
Oh, all right, guys, thanks so much for spending this time with us. Again, if you enjoyed this video, please leave a thumbs up. Leave those comments down below. Shannon usually handles the comments on this channel, but Steve and I will be checking back. We'll be answering stuff on these videos. So don't be shy. If you have video suggestions going forward, let us know. If this turns out to be a popular series, this will become a channel of its own, different channel name and everything, but we'll keep you guys informed. So anyway, thanks so much for spending this time with us. We hope you enjoyed it. We'll see you next time.